What's up, guys? I figured I'd record a video just talking about the 9.5 revert in the 11.6 patch. When Hi-Rez announced they'd do 11.6, when it wasn't actually planned, I thought they were kind of just pandering to a bunch of content creators who thought that would fix Smite, when Smite has like a lot wrong with it. It's always had a lot wrong with it. And I kind of thought it would be terrible. And I kind of said as much on Twitter, since I actually really enjoyed 9.5 patch. I'm one of the few, I think. I don't think there's many people who actually like the 9.5 patch, and I'm a very contrarian kind of guy. Like, I kind of just think one way, and I don't really care if I'm the only one who doesn't, who thinks the same way as me. I am really biased since the year the 9.5 patch came out, we actually went on to win Season 9 Worlds, so maybe I only think that way because it was such a great year for me, and also the same year that patch came out, there were a lot of great map objectives like Scorpions, and there was a beacon that you could milk, and I felt like that added a lot to the game. And I thought to get away from kind of early kills from just cringe level 2 3 jungle ganks and more objective play was actually really good for Smite. But I will just say I am biased. So just kind of going forward to talk about the 11.6 patch a little bit. This is mostly going to be based on Conquest. I know this is kind of a dual channel a little bit, but I actually don't think the other game modes were significantly improved, if at all. But I do think I want to talk about Conquest since that is kind of the main game mode of any MOBA. So this is mostly based on ranked and kind of more competitive Smite in Conquest. I don't even know if, let's say, casuals were in Conquest was necessarily improved, but it probably was too. Since I've kind of changed my mind a lot with 11.6, and I kind of just want to go through it a little bit. I think you could also make the case for casual game modes getting worse, since they're actually already short game modes, and shortening the time to kill might just mean that they become like more snowbally or more kind of deathmatchy to a fault. And the one Conquest game mode I play the most is Duel, and I feel like it even got even more snowbally, since you can die so easily at level like 3 to 5, and if you die once in Duel, it can be very hard to like get back into the game at all. And Duel isn't a particularly long game mode, so I kind of think it didn't like help that game mode either. So I kind of just want to go through the pros of 9.5 and the cons, and like why it even came out to begin with. First, I'll talk about like what 9.5 even did. Basically, they scaled the health and protections of every god in the game, every role, every god, to be much higher. So people took way longer to kill. The immediate effect of this was that hunters became pretty obnoxious since they have a lot of DPS over time, and if you couldn't kill hunters with lifesteal or crit, then they became really obnoxious to play against. And I think they did have to nerf like crit and Gilded Arrow a little bit when 9.5 came out, but they did kind of fix that over time pretty quickly, I think. But the other change that they made is that the minions got a lot tankier and harder to kill. They kind of along with the gods, because the goal was to make the laning phase kind of last longer and it be a real laning phase as opposed to 5 to 10 minutes of laning into a roam off where people would like cover their lanes, but they just like kind of dip into their lane, one shot the lane wave, and run back into the jungle to do more farm or roam and look for picks. And I do think it worked. The laning phase, I think, did last longer. because you had to spend longer killing creeps, and because people would die less in the waves, uh, it was less snowbally, which meant people literally had to spend more time clearing waves. The other big effect of 9.5 was that level 2 and 3 kills were much harder, and they really didn't exist too much unless there was like a fight to the death between like two players or the dual lanes. This is probably the single most contentious point here, or at least one of the most contentious point. I didn't think that was good for the game, um, and I think a lot of people will disagree with me. Laners, specifically solo laners and dual laners, didn't feel like they could punish each other to the degree of getting a kill if a laner was out of position or played the lane badly. And the other thing is that junglers had a much harder gank. Level 2, 3, I'd say even up to level like 8, they had a much harder gank because they couldn't kind of burst through the extra health and protections that everyone had, along with like a relic that they might have had. Um, so junglers would literally gank kind of to poke out Elena, which did have impact, but it would be significantly less impactful um, as opposed to getting like a first blood or a kill that would seriously snowball a lane. Either way, it would kind of lead the laning phase to last a little bit longer, since if one if an early kill happens in either the solo lane or the dual lane, that's the lane kind of over in terms of being able to contest and having like it be on a knife's edge who gets the advantage or who's going to win the inevitable all-out fight in a 2v2 or a 1v1 in solo. Since with an early kill, it just kind of it makes it like pretty insurmountable for the laner who died to come back and like get that like turn the lane without significant help from their own jungler. I'd also say that some junglers pre 9.5 learnt to rely on getting like a pick. I'd say pre level 5, they really learnt to rely on it. Sit beside behind corners, hope that a laner was terrible, whether it be a mid laner, solo laner, um, with not much awareness, and it kind of, I thought it got extremely fraudulent at times, even in the SBL. Like there'd be junglers that were kind of memed for like level 3 ganks or cringe ganks, but they were kind of getting rewarded because the chance of getting that kill was so high, and all you needed was like a brief kind of distraction from like even a top player to basically just come over and kill them. Um, but my problem with that is like if as you get lower, like in terms of the level of Smite players, uh, as soon as you get like one laner who's playing disrespectfully, or there's like maybe a mid laner doesn't have VGS or comms in the game, especially like platinum or below, you'll just get these junglers that are like just chain killing people because there's no communication in the game, and I feel like at low level that's not good for the game. Newer players, I think 9.5 did cater to. I'll admit that. I think because they could like load in and not just die to every mistake that they made because they had that extra health and prots. They could kind of continue learning even if they lost trades a little bit, um, rather than just sitting and watching their respawn timer over and over again for making like one or two mistakes and getting ganked by a jungler. So this is like the hardest point to explain. Uh, my take that higher time to kill is actually better for better players is very it's kind of subjective. Um, the best players in Smite, there's a lot of unmissable abilities. Stuff like Nemesis ult, Neath ult, Loki 2, Susano abilities, Camazot's ult, Medusa ult, Nuwa ult. There's probably a million different kind of unmissable abilities in the game that with less health and prots, you literally can't live. And you can say, well, just Aegis, their unmissable abilities. Well, what if you Aegis, a Sasano all in and then you get Nuwa ulted after? Like, if you just have not enough health and prots to survive that, then Uh, the even the best players in the world are gonna die to that like a lot of the time. And like good teams, let's say good teams recognize that the best player on a team, um, you know, they recognize the best player on a team, they can just save their unmissable abilities for that guy and just all in that person. And yeah, there's like counterplay to that. You can use like your teams as body bags, let's say if you're the carry of a team. But for a player like me who just doesn't like think that's fun, I like to get in there. I like to be first in. I like to initiate. I like to um, I just like to play the game and not have to like use my team as like bait body bags. Um, I just don't think it's fun to like get in there and then get hit by 5 unmissable abilities and die because I just didn't have the health or prots to live that. So I think it's a playstyle thing, but I think it definitely doesn't hinder the best players to have more health and prots on everyone if they want to make plays. Okay, so here's probably the what where my mind has changed the most. I think times have changed. We're in 2024. The first thing I'm going to say is the high res, I don't think they ever necessarily balanced Smite over the pro scene. They did a little bit, but in season 11 there isn't one. The game doesn't need to be balanced at all. There's no bunch of pros and teams that are going to show this off in the SBL. They're not going to show the most busted stuff in the SBL, and that kind of helps in a way. It means that people aren't going to latch on to the most imbalanced stuff straight away, and it's kind of going to be smattered around, which is better for the game. Um, so they don't have to cater to like Smite SPL players kind of trying to abuse the best stuff, the most imbalanced things that Smite like high res come out with. Um, since there's a lot of OP gods and items that kind of come along with everyone having reduced protections and health. I think people have changed. I think content, and in particular short form content, like TikTok, Reels, Shorts content, it's kind of led to gamers having extremely short attention spans. I don't think people want tactical games of conquest games anymore with low kills. People get bored if a kill doesn't happen every 30 seconds, like on the map. And reducing health and protections across the board makes every game like way more deadly. I'm seeing uh I feel like every rank game there's like 50 plus kills, especially lower level, but high level too. Um and people like it. Um and I won't lie, I like it too. Um unless you play like super focused 100% of the time, which newsflash, 99% of people don't, you're just gonna die a lot. Um, so will everyone else. And the good news is they've kind of kept a lot of comeback golden XP, so the players with the biggest lead have to play focus, and if they don't, then it leads back to kind of like an arena moment where everyone's just killing everyone. There's also kind of a correlation between game imbalance and fun. I've always thought this across many, many different games, especially early on in a patch cycle. Um, Game imbalance can lead to more fun, and what it rewards is it rewards the people who play the most or like cook up the most ideas or like the smartest kind of players who think of the most broken things and try it out the most. So, and that's actually a really healthy symptom from a game is to reward players who play more recently. So um, I think that's like a good thing, but the only worry I have is that game imbalance in general, and like I'm talking about like Ao Kwang one shot me in 1 second, and um he just needs slight nerfs in terms of damage. That's just the reality. Or Maman or um Kamazots or whatever gods that you feel like you're getting one shot by. I'm not really speaking to a greater sense of balance here. I don't know what's OP. Um, but if characters do just need nerfs or items just need nerfs, it can get really frustrating really quick. Getting owned by something poorly balanced gets old quick, and Hyras have to basically nerf it, and that can get really stale. To kind of nerf anything that's broken or imbalanced, if patches don't like shake things up again. Overall, I think I'm having more fun in Conquest. I like 11.6. High kill deathmatches are fun to play. Loath as I am to say it. No one wants to see tactical, low death macro games anymore. They're done. Just like the SPL, they're done. No one wants to see like these like StarCraft 2 strategy games anymore. People just want arena games, and that's fine. I can only hope the less experienced players who will end up feeding more and dying more to their mistakes don't all leave Smite, because before you know it, the only people left playing Smite 1 will be all the insufferable content creators, ex-pros, like self-proclaimed experts of Smite, gaslighting people who don't even play the game anymore that Smite's now fun.